Why childhood shapes adult relationships. Have you ever wondered why some people fall deeply in love, only to spend the entire relationship waiting for it to fall apart? Why someone can hear the words "I love you" every single day and still feel unloved? Or why another person pushes away the very people they've been longing for their entire life? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most adult relationships don't begin when two people meet. They begin in childhood. Long before your first crush, long before your first heartbreak, long before your first kiss. Your brain was already learning what love feels like. And sometimes, it learned the wrong lesson. Today, we're exploring the psychology behind why childhood shapes adult relationships, how your earliest experiences quietly influence your love life, and why healing your past may be the only way to change your future. Because sometimes, the person you're fighting isn't your partner. It's the child inside you who's still waiting to feel safe. Imagine a little girl sitting at the window every evening. She keeps looking outside because her father promised he'd be home for dinner. She waits. The food gets cold. The sun goes down. Eventually, she hears the front door open. He arrives hours later. No apology. No explanation. Just another broken promise. She doesn't know she's learning psychology. She simply learned something much more dangerous. People leave. Promises don't mean much. If I expect disappointment, maybe it won't hurt as much. Years later, she's 28. Her boyfriend is running late because of traffic. He sends a text saying he'll be there soon. But inside her, she's not reacting to traffic. She's reacting to childhood. Her body remembers what her mind forgot. This is one of the most powerful discoveries in psychology. Our nervous system remembers experiences even when we no longer consciously think about them. The emotions stay stored inside us. And when something in adulthood feels familiar, our brain presses play on an old survival strategy. That's why relationships often feel confusing. You're not always responding to the person in front of you. Sometimes you're responding to someone from years ago. Psychologists call this attachment. When we're children, our caregivers become our first definition of love. If they were emotionally available, we often learn that people can be trusted. If they comforted us when we cried, we learn emotions are safe. If they celebrated our achievements, we learn we're worthy. But not everyone grows up in that environment. Some children experience love that feels unpredictable. One day they're hugged. The next day they're ignored. One day they're praised. The next day they're criticized. Love becomes inconsistent. An inconsistent love creates anxious hearts. These children often become adults who overthink every text message. They read silence as rejection. They fear abandonment even when there's no evidence it's happening. Not because they're dramatic, because their brain learned that love can disappear without warning. Then there are children who grow up believing emotions are weaknesses. Whenever they cry, they're told to stop being sensitive. Whenever they're afraid, they're told to toughen up. Whenever they seek comfort, no one comes. Eventually, they stop asking. Not because they no longer need love, because they no longer expect it. As adults, these people often appear independent, strong, calm, but underneath, they're terrified of depending on anyone. If someone gets too close, they pull away. Not because they don't care, because closeness feels unfamiliar. Distance feels safer. Psychologists call this avoidant attachment. It's not a lack of love. It's fear wearing the mask of independence. Here's what's fascinating. Your childhood doesn't have to be traumatic to affect your relationships. Many people imagine trauma as something dramatic. Violence, abuse, neglect. Those experiences absolutely matter. But sometimes, trauma is simply not getting what you needed. A child doesn't need perfect parents. They need emotionally responsive ones. If no one listened, you may struggle to express yourself. If no one comforted you, you may struggle accepting comfort. If no one made you feel important, you may spend adulthood desperately trying to earn love. It's not always about what happened. Sometimes it's about what never happened. Think about this. Why do some people stay in relationships where they're constantly hurt? Friends look at them and ask, "Why don't you just leave?" But the answer often has nothing to do with the present. If chaos felt normal during childhood, peace feels unfamiliar. If criticism sounded like love, kindness can actually feel suspicious. The brain prefers what's familiar over what's healthy, even when familiar hurts. That's why someone may leave a loving partner, only to return to someone emotionally unavailable. Not because they enjoy suffering, because their nervous system mistakes familiarity for love. There's an old saying in psychology: we marry our unfinished business, not literally, but emotionally. We often choose partners who activate the wounds we're secretly hoping to heal. The woman ignored by her father may chase emotionally distant men. The boy constantly criticized may seek impossible perfection from his partner. The child who had to earn affection may become an adult who believes love must always be worked for. It's as if the brain whispers, "Maybe this time, I'll finally get the ending I deserve." But unless we recognize the pattern, the ending rarely changes. Only the faces do. Have you ever noticed how small disagreements can become enormous arguments? One person forgets to call. The other explodes. One partner asks for space. The other panics. One harmless comment suddenly becomes a massive fight. That's because relationships don't just involve two adults. They involve two inner children. Every disagreement asks invisible questions. Do you still love me? Am I safe? Will you leave? Am I enough? These questions are rarely spoken aloud, but they're often the real reason couples argue. The incredible thing about the human brain is that it's constantly trying to protect us. If rejection hurt in childhood, it teaches us to avoid vulnerability. If abandonment hurt, it teaches us to cling tightly. If criticism hurt, it teaches us to become people pleasers. These behaviors once helped us survive. But survival strategies don't always create healthy relationships. Sometimes the very thing that protected you as a child pushes people away as an adult. Let's talk about people pleasing. Many people believe they're simply kind, generous, selfless. But sometimes, people pleasing isn't kindness. It's fear. Fear that saying no will make people leave. Fear that expressing needs will start conflict. Fear that love must always be earned. Children who constantly tried to keep peace at home often become adults who sacrifice themselves to keep relationships alive. Eventually, they become exhausted, resentful, invisible, because they've spent years meeting everyone else's needs while abandoning their own. Now think about jealousy. People often assume jealousy comes from insecurity. But insecurity usually has a deeper origin. If your childhood taught you that people leave, every new relationship feels temporary, your mind starts searching for proof. Who are they texting? Why did they smile at that person? Why haven't they replied yet? The relationship becomes an investigation instead of a connection. Not because you don't trust your partner, because you never learned what safety feels like. Here's another pattern. Some people believe love should feel intense all the time. Butterflies, anxiety, uncertainty, obsessing, waiting. But healthy love often feels surprisingly calm. And for someone raised in emotional chaos, calm feels boring. They mistake peace for lack of passion. So they unconsciously create drama just to recreate the emotional environment they grew up in. Not because they want conflict, because their brain confuses intensity with intimacy. The beautiful news is this. Childhood explains you. It does not define you. Neuroscience has shown that the brain remains capable of change throughout life. This is called neuroplasticity. Every healthy relationship, every honest conversation, every moment you choose a different response begins rewiring old patterns. Healing isn't pretending the past never happened. Healing is recognizing when the past is trying to control the present. It's noticing. I'm feeling abandoned right now. But am I actually being abandoned? It's asking, am I reacting to today's situation or yesterday's pain? Awareness is where change begins. One of the hardest parts of healing is accepting this truth. Your parents may have loved you deeply and still wounded you. Love and emotional maturity are not the same thing. Many parents gave their children everything they had. Unfortunately, sometimes what they had was fear, unresolved trauma, emotional distance, or unhealthy relationship patterns they inherited themselves. Pain often travels through generations until someone decides to stop passing it on. Maybe that someone is you. Healing doesn't happen overnight. It's choosing healthier partners, learning to communicate honestly, setting boundaries without guilt, accepting love without suspicion, saying no without apologizing, allowing yourself to be seen exactly as you are. Little by little, the child inside you begins to realize something they never believed before. Love doesn't have to hurt. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to chase it. You don't have to become someone else to deserve it. Real love doesn't heal every wound, but it creates a safe place where healing becomes possible. Maybe that's why understanding your childhood is so important. Not so you can blame your parents forever. Not so you can excuse unhealthy behavior. But so you finally understand yourself. Because when you understand your patterns, you stop calling them personality. You start recognizing them as survival. And survival is something you can outgrow. The goal isn't becoming someone with no emotional scars. The goal is becoming someone whose scars no longer make their decisions. Because the greatest relationship you'll ever build isn't the one where someone rescues you. It's the one where you no longer need rescuing. And maybe the strongest version of you has been waiting your entire life for the child inside you to finally feel safe. So here's a question to leave you with. If your childhood wrote the first chapter of your love story, Who gets to write the next one?